guys, welcome to our very first episode as we perceive as we are. In this episode, we are going to be continuing our parent child relationship perspective series. We will be joined by Mmitse Rammupudu. Am I even saying
Correct.
it? Am I even?
You
You're
think
not.
you said right?
I'm
Oh,
not
she
saying
did.
it. I'm
Oh,
not saying it proper. I know I'm not.
It's R. It's Rammupudu.
Rammupudu
Mm-hmm.
by Mmitse Rammupudu. She'll be joining us
Mm-hmm.
today and
another
just
very close long-term friend. Got that shit on lock. So
Unlock
we're
for
going to
real.
hear her
gang.
perspectives on
Mm-hmm.
the parent-child relationship. Basically, ask her questions, hear her stories as much as she wants to say. Probably going to be talking about a whole variety of other stuff, but this is
Mm-hmm.
the basis of it. Do you think kids, since that's the basis, or the kids are part of that story, and why not?
Almost definitely not. Oh no. Oh no.
That it seems like there's a story. Like, is there a reason?
Well, I am my mom's firstborn child.
Mm.
So I basically look after my siblings. Like I basically raise my siblings. And because my parents are divorced, my dad doesn't live with us. So I'm deputy parent.
Mm.
Um, oh, help your sibling with that. Help your sibling with this. Cook, do this, do that. I mean, I understand helping to a certain extent, but there's a time and point where it gets exhausting.
Yeah.
I do not want kids.
So you think maybe in your experience being an elder sibling, you've done the parenting, you've experienced it, you've done,
Mm-hmm,
you've had your time.
mm-hmm.
Do you think it's the balance, or do you think there was balance between being a sibling and being a parent? Because I feel like as elder siblings, I'm an elder sister, but I'm not the oldest. But then still, I've got two younger sisters, and I'm there. So you could say deputy parent, but then when do you think it reaches being the parent versus you're no longer seen as a child, but as like help or a second hand?
I feel like there was a time where, like, I was mostly like a deputy parent, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started boarding school, and then the load most of it just disappeared. Then I became like a normal sibling, if that makes like I am not so my siblings are not so dependent on me anymore because I'm only home for 3 days of the week and school holidays. So yeah.
How was that shift from you from being, there all the time,
Mm.
being a co-parent, being, deputy, checking if they're okay, checking if mom okay, to, just worrying about yourself?
Repeat the first part again, sorry.
The the difference or the switch from, being deputy parent, being there 24/7, not 24/7, but most of the time for your siblings, to, being majority by yourself and with your peers and stuff like that.
The switch. Oh. Um it was weird at some point because now then, like, at the beginning, once your siblings start getting more independent and stuff, you sit and you be like, oh wow, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Dude, I can relate to that.
Like, you just like, what on
Yeah,
earth do I do now? But then eventually you get used to it, and then yeah.
I can relate to that. I can relate to that in
Mm.
the sense of after lockdown, I had an inner realization because I have a very helper like personality. I like doing things for people. So now being that personality type and then being the older sibling, the elder sibling, you'll find yourself in trouble.
Mm.
Mm.
Because again, that whole thing of co-parenting and whatnot and all that. So there was a shift in mindset for me. That whole shift of now it's my time to put the attention on my
Mm.
self growth and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that whole thing of it was weird. The whole
Mm.
shift of your siblings not being dependent on you and growing
Mm.
more self dependent. Like
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a point in time where my sisters were, I don't know what they were doing, washing or something. And then I realized that no, these people are grown now.
They don't need me as much.
My realization was when my mom picked me up from the bus on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then my siblings were already home because they come out a lot earlier than I do on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom asked my sister if she had cooked already, and she was like, "Yes." I was like, "Oh, all right then."
Wow. Okay.
When he started grade 4,
Mm.
when he started talking about exams and exam time, I was like, "Yo,
Yeah,
it's
no.
like." Still now, till this day, I still don't believe that this child sits down to study.
Mm.
Like it doesn't make sense. It's like a glitch in the matrix of some sort. It doesn't make sense
Seeing
at
someone
all.
like them do something by themselves when they couldn't even get a glass of water, that growth as you growing as a person while witnessing somebody grow and step through the same situations that you step through, you know.
Mm.
Do you think as oh another question, do you think as the eldest daughter, the oldest, they some age differences. So you have some influence on how they think, their morals, just by being
Mm.
you. Do you think you have any lessons or you've learned anything that you implement into how you talk to them? I wouldn't say how you raise them, but how you talk to them and stuff like that.
What I've learned is not like when I was like growing up, right, especially during primary and stuff. I I always did well academically, right? So I was always pushed to get 80s, nothing less, 80s and above, all the time. And then at some point, I started declining. Not
Mm.
academic. I don't want to say academically, but mentally, I started declining on how I perceive academics and stuff. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to tell my siblings, don't force yourself to get above 80 just because I did back in when I was your age or back when I was in your grade. Don't be too hard on yourself because that's something I'm struggling with now.
Mm.
So I'm trying to put it into my siblings at a younger age so that if they get a 60 and they know they tried their best, that's fine. As long as you've tried and you've put your all, that's fine. Don't stress yourself too much because once you start overdoing something or like I have to get that 80, I have to get that 80, and then you don't get it, it leads to burnout. And I was burnt out a lot. It did
Mm.
a lot. And right now I'm trying to get motivation to not be so like unmotivated and stuff. I'm trying to like now I do try my best, but I feel like it's not my best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so I'm just trying to take it baby steps to get back to where I used to be, even though school is just getting harder and harder. I'm going to try to always put my utmost best. And out of the whole thing, as I said, I tell my siblings, don't put yourself through what I'm putting myself through. Don't force yourself. If you did your best, that's great.
I feel like that is a hard lesson,
Mm,
teaching your siblings the lessons that you yourself are going through is
Yeah.
another type of
mm,
experience because they will come back. Kids are like that. Kids will come back and be like, "You're telling me to do this,"
And
and then check around at you and be like, "And then why have you
I
not?"
think it
mm,
is hard to give advice to somebody while you're not in the best situation, but you've got the
mm,
experience. You do have the knowledge, but it's hard for them to listen to
mm,
you because you're not actively, showing the action towards it. But I think
mm,
at one point, either when they get older, you'll tend to understand. I feel also the same thing with parents. When they tell you one thing, you don't necessarily understand it at that time, but then the older you get,
Mm,
the more lessons life gives you. You're like, oh, you know what, that was actually not that bad of a lesson. What do you think,
mm.
in your childhood, in experience with your parents or life in general, have you been on some at that moment you're like, nah, this is not it, count me out, and then later on, yeah, you understood why it happened?
Well, it's my grandmother is very close
Mm.
to me. I love that woman to death because I've spent most of my time with my grandmother, as you guys know. So she always told me that not everybody can be your friend, or not everybody who says they're your friend will be genuine about it. This sounds very cliche,
Yeah.
but it's what applies to like the most, like the thing that hit the hardest this year.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like it, oh, how can I? As well as people never really change.
True.
Like they can change physically and all that, glow up, new everything, your house, new clothes, everything. But the heart and the mind and the intentions they put into the way they live, the way they carry themselves will never change. A
Mm.
leopard never changes its spots. That's one of the biggest like realizations I had. I was like, oh wow, damn.
Yeah, I do get
Mm.
that.
I have a question on that note. When you say a leopard never changes its spots, do you mean like never, ever, ever, or by like just by growing? Because that whole thing of people don't change, I personally disagree. I feel like people don't change unless they don't want to.
I think it's the type of thing. Also, my mom has told me, when someone shows you their true colors, you should believe them the first time. Don't give them
Mm.
a second chance to change. You
Mm.
know, in that way, I do think you should protect yourself and reserve yourself. If they've given you or they've crossed a boundary or something, you shouldn't give somebody too many chances. I do believe in being
Mm.
opening and everything,
Mm.
but at the same time, not everybody is a good person. You need to be realistic
Mm.
in that term. You need to realistic in this
Exactly.
world. You need to protect
Exactly.
yourself. You know,
Exactly.
most of the time, in school, in social circles, there's going to be a point, or there might
Hey
be a
guys,
point in
honestly.
life where you're like, yo, I am alone. It's just me. Everybody I thought I could trust in friend situation, let's say for friends, everybody I thought I could trust is just, not really there.
Mm.
And you do go back, as you said, and this, oh yeah, my grandma told me that, oh yeah, my mom told me that. But
Mm.
I think with the whole change thing, people are capable of change, and I do people can change, but I think about, are you willing to stay changed?
And my personal experience is that there was this one person, like for as long as I've known them, they were just not nice. Last year, I was like, let me give this person a chance because I don't have a choice.
Mm.
Maybe, and I shouldn't have listened to myself last year. I should have just hit myself in the head and say, listen, girl, be for real. Be for real. And then this year, they went back to how, because last year they were making themselves, holier than thou, better than this. Oh, I'm not like that anymore. No.
When the
And then
change is closing, yeah.
this year they
That
just,
situation is a thing of now we're diving into Njolo, ne? But I want to, no, it's an Njolo topic
Yeah.
in a sense also, ne? Because you'll find that a lot of people, not even just in Njolo, in people wanting to show off how they are, they show off this fake perception.
I feel like trying to impress somebody, trying to invite somebody, trying to be open, I
Hmm,
guess you can enhance.
not
And
even
no, I mean,
enhance.
like, it's not truly you. If they had to meet you on any other day, that's not how you'd be. But you're just taking all of the good parts about yourself and you're enhancing them.
Eh,
And
like,
with that type of thing, it doesn't last that long. At some point, the balance needs to be returned. the bad and the good. And then some people might not be ready for the bad, and it is kind of that person's problem if you didn't prepare them for the bad. You can't produce good, 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 and then when you bring the bad and they have a
Yeah,
negative
it's a
reaction, you're
thing
shocked.
of people
Mm.
naturally, and I personally believe that as human beings, because we want to be liked, because society has ingrained this whole thing of everybody's gotta like you, we naturally honey trap people. We
Mm.
naturally portray this whole thing of look at how shiny I am. You know, a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people, you naturally show off the good part of you. When you're posing for a picture,
I
you
do
naturally
think
show
that
off the better side of you, you
it's
know?
people, it's family. Families wants to be represented well.
Hey,
If you don't fit into your quote unquote aesthetic or the vibe of your family, you could be checked and like, you know what, we're not like this. So you have to change them that way. But in general, anxiety, for instance, when you're meeting somebody new, you want to be the best. You're not going to go and show them your genuine self. You're not going to show them how you are sitting alone in your room listening to music. You're not going to show that side of you. You're going to show the energetic, the happy, that energy. So I guess it's just like,
Yeah, man. That was when people were like genuine, like they didn't hide themselves or anything. But once you finish primary, for example, meeting people is hard because they are just not who they say
they're
they are.
different. Yeah,
And
they're
it's
different.
actually so irritating because and then you as a person you're like, okay, I I'm not gonna involve myself with people that deep. I'm just gonna have acquaintances because I don't like this. My walls are 35 meters high now. That's great. And then once you apply that to your life, people think you're stuck up. People think you're rude.
Mm.
People think you're, but really, the, it's just how it is.
So you have to protect yourself. You have to put yourself first.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do
hey,
agree with that.
I agree with that.
Going back, actually, I feel like there's a question that I wanted to ask. With
Mm-hmm.
the lesson or the realization that you had that people, if they're once they're bad, they're probably gonna go back to being bad. That type of vibe. Do you think that with change, do you think, as Zila saying, that change is possible? For
Mm-hmm.
instance, with since we talk about the parent-child relationship, you know, growing with your mom or growing with your dad or whoever was in your life, your grandmother at the time, the older you get, I feel like you never stop growing, no matter how old you are. Personality changes, stuff happens that can mentally change you, no matter what age you are. So your parental figure at the time, whoever that may be, they went through a change. Do you think that that affected you? There any changes that that you're like, this is not the same as when I was younger?
I think my parents.
Mm.
I think it's my parents for sure. Like after the divorce, my mom was like a completely different person for a while. But she's slowly coming back to the mom that I know. Thank the Lord. And then my dad, it's a tricky one
Mm,
because back in the day, it was me and him against the world. If you saw him at Spa, I was right behind him.
yeah.
That's how it was. And the fact that I look like him as well
Mm.
is what made me, love him even more. Like that's twinning
Mm,
him. That's my ride or die. He
yeah.
goes in if he's going 6 feet and I'm jumping in with him. That's how it was. But then 2016 came and my parents got divorced, and he's just like, I don't know. He's just, it doesn't give anymore.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
different.
giving. Yeah.
So you say with your mom, when the divorce happened, she changed as a person. Obviously, you also probably there was a lot of difference, a lot of shift. And as you said, she's
Mm.
getting back to her old self. She's getting back to the mother that the one that I guess you prefer or something. Is a positive change. But then still, when you were younger, you still had to deal or you still had to grow with that version of her. And as you get older, she changes as well and your perspective shifts. But then that's
Hey,
change between then and her now, how do you think it's affecting you, if it is at all? You something you don't realize?
To be honest, I don't think it affects me much, but my siblings.
Mm.
I'm really not sure how they view our current phase in life, but quite neutral, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
I understand. I have a question. It kind of it relates back to the whole topic of the elder sibling and the responsibility
Mm-hmm.
and such. That strain, personally for me, that strain can get heavy, guys. You're basically
Oh no,
raising
for
kids
sure.
that are not yours.
Yeah.
Yo,
Mm.
I
that's
mean, I
Mm.
heavy.
didn't birth any kid. Why am I worrying about any kid? It's that type of vibe. I feel like at some point, as an older sister, you get to I'm over it, and
Mm.
then you're like, okay, I need to live my own life. You
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So the question basically relates into the whole relationship with your mother. I know for me personally, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say resentments, but there's a lot of anger and issues that I had to release with my mother specifically. I don't, with my father, I have my issues, but with my mother, because she was the one who was like around the kids. And she was always the one who'd be like, Zile, can you go to? Zile, can you go to? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously, there's always those, or for me, subconsciously, there was those issues that would arise because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to do it, but you see the stress that your mom's going through, so you kind of just like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think? Okay, any
yeah,
is a question. Do you think that through that you had some sort of resentment that you either had to heal and understand as you got older? Because you back then versus you now is not the same thing. You're not thinking the same way.
mm.
You may have quote unquote forgiven her if you even there was a problem in the first place, but that's your
Yeah. My
perspective.
question is, was there ever that issue with you
Most
personally speaking?
definitely. Like there would be moments where I'm like scrolling through my WhatsApp statuses and people are walking around town living their life and going to parties and all sorts. And then I was at home stuck with my siblings because my mom had some trip to go to over the weekend, or
Yeah,
she had to work over the weekends, or she had to study. You get it would be that sense of like, damn, I'm feeling very left out now when I get to school. Everybody's going to be talking about it, and I'm going to be left out because I don't know what happened. You know what I mean? Like, even now, till this day, sometimes it kind of hurts. Not only because I'm a hostel kid and I obviously can't go to some of the parties that side, but
mm,
also the fact that way that she also needs my help. Like I see, okay, she's stressed. She can't do this and that and this and that. The helpers on leave, or at some we didn't have a helper at some point even. So it was just me and my siblings at home. It was it was a lot. Like that's in it feels you know what it feels like you're in a hole, but you're falling slowly.
yeah.
Like it's like it's getting darker and darker, and it's not like you're falling quick, fast, in a hurry.
Mhm.
But you're going down at the end of the day.
Slowly, like it's agonizing. Like it that pain of being left out and knowing that okay, now I barely even have friends now, so what's the point? Like I'm always at home, and it's not even by choice.
Yeah.
You get that really sourced that was my source of like resentment, if that makes sense.
Not being able to do what your peers are doing.
Because I'm technically a parent, exactly. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not nice. I still feel like that from time to time, but I feel like her and I have reached an agreement where, listen, I spend this many days at school. I spend this much time traveling. I need to be by myself. I need to go out and have fun.
yeah,
Because after this year, from next year onwards, I'm just gonna be grinding every day. It's going to be a lot. So I just need to sit down and have the small amount of childhood I have
Yeah.
left. Yeah.
So you say you've sat down, like you've sat down with her and spoken out, like spoken to her that this is how it like this is how I'm feeling, or
I've there were many attempts. There were several attempts
mm-hmm.
before it could actually get to her.
Mm.
You know, like there was a lot going on at some point, and I sat down. I was like, "Listen, I am overwhelmed. This is too much. Um, cut me some slack." And then and then she she had the whole conversation of she started her statement with the whole conversation of how my parents divorced and everything. It felt like I was the one getting guilt tripped and manipulated. So I was like, I am washing my hands off of this. I am giving this to my aunt.
Mm. No, I do understand how it could be hard to communicate to her, especially, you knowing the pressures, you knowing that there's a lot going on, that
Exactly.
you know that she's under pressure, she's got things, and just for you to go and add it is already a problem when it comes to communicating. Knowing that I'm adding to a problem doesn't give me or give you or give anybody any more motivation to go and say what you
Mm,
wanna
But
say.
but I feel like that's kind of where the drastic change needs to come in when it comes to communication with parents and children. Your child shouldn't feel like they're having to add pressure to your plate by coming
mm,
to talk to you. Honestly,
mm.
your child shouldn't feel like they're coming to ruin your day or it's going to
Exactly.
cause a problem because
Exactly.
mm, it's your responsibility for bringing in another soul into the
Mm,
life. As much as my mom says that their parents are carriers of another person, as the carrier,
You have
it's your responsibility.
responsibilities. When somebody's delivering a package, you gotta make sure it doesn't break. I think it's around the same thing. And I feel, especially when a child is younger, it's easier just to go, go away, shoo, mommy's busy, all of that. And it does carry on to when you're older. You're like, ish,
mm,
I know this lady is busy. I don't want to come up. And,
And getting back into the whole thing, Mitzi, where you said the elder sibling, something that I've personally come to realize that a parents or adults in general do to elder siblings is that
mm-hmm.
they treat us like we grown.
yeah, forget that your kids.
Exactly.
Like they expect you to know everything. And at the
And
same
to understand the pressure that they're going through. It's not my job to understand.
like honestly, like is that a pressure that you as an elder sibling face? That you feel like your parents, not even just your mom or your dad, but even
Any
your
parental figure.
grand adults in general. It's like this whole elder sibling stigma, where people think that because you're an elder sibling, because you've quote unquote raised these children, or raised other people's children as your own, as the sibling, you're grown, and that you're supposed to act grown and be grown.
Mm. Like really, like sometimes I just want to be a kid. I want to be a kid with the 3 years I have left. Let me kid. It's that thing of when you're younger, you're like, oh, I can't wait to grow. I can't wait to be in high school. I'm gonna be grown up and do grown up things and drive and all of that. But then as you get older, you're just like, let me just slow down and take my time.
Let's calm down.
I see other people's struggles. Let me enjoy home. Let me enjoy food for free whilst I can. Let me go run in the rain because my friends and I were walking too slow back from wherever we were going. You know, let me jump the gate. You know, let me do normal things as a
Mm.
child.
I have a question. Do you think that, nowadays I feel there's an expiration to childhood? When you have to stop being a kid, you have to start thinking seriously because, like, realistically thinking, when you're going through the school system, because now we're unschooling, we're not going through the same
Mm,
system that you're going through. For you,
mm,
for instance, you matriculated at 18.
mm,
You're supposed to balance your life, your high school life, your family life, your social life. your private life,
Your self
probably your love
journey.
life, your mental, everything. You have to balance all of that,
Mm-hmm.
and you still have to, as you said, enjoy your childhood. But
Mm.
then you can't enjoy live in your head for too long, and then when you're 18, you have to figure, or in most cases, you have to figure out yourself at
Mm.
18. It's either university or it's college or it's you being an
Mm.
entrepreneur, it's you being in the streets, whatever you choose to do, you
Mm.
have to. So do you think at what point does the childhood end? Because around 17, even 15, 16,
I feel
17, that's
like
when you have to start thinking for yourself and your life.
now at our ages, like we are at some point we all like were serious and like, okay, I have like this many months left. Let
Yeah.
me just. But it can't. Personally, I feel like it shouldn't be to the point where you make it all you think about. Like now, damn, it's January and my and my November exams start 1st of November. Let me start studying now and not that kind of it don't work your life around it completely because it takes a toll on you. And
Yeah.
trust me, it does. It does. And then once you start portraying that around your family, then they add it on even more. You should go to this, you should go to that. You should do this, you should do that. And then when you sit down and be like, I actually wanna go to somebody's house and stuff, they're like, no, you can't, you have to study, partying won't go and pay your bills. It's a weird cycle
It's
of
an unrealistic balance. I have a question
it's
on
a
that.
weird cycle.
I have a question on that balance. Do you feel like um these unrealistic expectations on your growth journey?
I feel so actually. Like now that I think of it, like I I'm expected to do many things. Like right now, one side like let me use jobs in the future as an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now my one side of the family wants me to go into the agriculture field because that's the future, that's it. The one side is like, no, you have to go into like engineering and this and architect and this and that. And then there's me who's looking into doing law, but it's just so overlooked. Like I don't it makes me feel like two walls are like on like smashing my head together. It's a lot because then it messes with how you want to like work your way through, if that makes sense. Like now with
No.
my subjects,
Mm.
I already chose my subject. So now I was with the one side of the family where they're telling me to do agriculture. I'm sitting, I'm like, maybe it is a good idea to do agriculture. But I already have like EGD and life science, and the only agriculture subject that I have is like what? Agricultural science. So it makes me feel pressure to do the other agri subjects and leave those two that I have,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. And then it's a lot. And then on one side, personally, I know that I'm terrible at physics. I'm atrocious. It's horrifying. But then the one part of my family is like, no, you have to take maths and physics and life science. You are going to fail in life if you don't have those three. Like right now, I have pure maths, and I don't know if it's not looking great. It is not looking the greatest. So there's a chance that I might have to switch the type of maths I have. And the thought of switching, at some point, I was like, you know what, I don't care. As long as I finish, I'd rather be getting 90s in maths lit than 8 in pure maths. And then the one side of my family was like, listen, straight up, you will fail in life. I'm quoting, you will fail in life. You can't take maths lit. So it was a moment where I was just stuck in the mud.
Yeah, I do understand how it's hard, to find your own voice in the loudness of the world, especially, with
How
family.
can
I
how can families think that it's okay to say that to a growing person who doesn't know what they want to do, who needs support? Like, I'm sorry that in that moment you didn't get the support that you needed, because at that point in time, it's the point where you need support. Like, okay, here are your options, because you yourself, you're young. What do you know about
I
the
feel like
options
it's
you're
the type
going
of
as
thing
well?
where, when the question was, the balance
Mm.
of when childhood ends. I feel like, right around here, 15, 16, when you were not, you can't be acting like a kid, but at the same time, you should be enjoying life. But at the same time, you should be getting your life straight and know what you want to do, because
But at
time
the
is
same
running out.
but at the same time, you have to know already what to do.
And the thing about it right now, as you're saying, we're young, right? If I decide what I'm going to do now, when I'm studying, I've changed, my mindset has changed, I've seen different things, and I'm stuck on that one thing. I mean, the commitment to it right now at such a young age with a lot of things, you're still going to experience life. You're still going to experience other things. You're going to find new passions, and you deciding what to do right now and directing your whole life on it, isn't
It's like
fair
it
nor realistic.
like the whole thing of choosing a career. Né? On this note of conversation, choosing a career. Are you choosing a career now because you know what you want to do, or you're choosing a career now because it's expected of you to know what you want to do?
To be honest, I don't even know. Like, half of me is like, I genuinely want to do this. Like, half of like is like, I genuinely want to do this. For the kids who have parents who are always in court. Do this for them because I was that kid. And then half of me is like, but if I don't have a career, people are gonna think that I'm just gonna take a gap year for 5 years.
Yeah.
It's that it fluctuates and it's annoying. It's annoying for real.
It is annoying. I understand the whole thing of it's annoying, especially in your head. Like, I don't know. It might seem like, for me personally, feels like I'm referencing a lot to being an elder sibling, but let me ask that question. Do you think like being an elder sibling has affected you like greatly in the scheme of life? Do you feel like if you're a younger sibling or a
Your
middle
mindset would be
sibling,
different.
you'd have grown up thinking an entirely different way?
Most definitely. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I feel like I would have right now where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am like I'm a very sensitive person, right? Like I'm an emotional person. But the things that I experienced as a first daughter immediately just my walls
You kind of have to build up
high
a
up.
brick. No, guys, you can't be soft as an older daughter. You can't.
Like you bottle up so much, you hide so much, and then eventually it erupts. And then you can't control it because why? You're the firstborn. Big girls don't cry. What are your siblings gonna say when they see this? Like a lot of people label like they see you, and then they see you like connected to your other parents. Like you are
Mm.
immediately your parents' thoughts, their morals, their values. You are the living, you know, evidence of
No.
it. So you can't go and act how you truly want to be. You can't like if you are the person that's always like singing aloud and socializing and or you're just naturally funny but your jokes also are kind of like out of pocket, for example, you can't say that in public because why other people are gonna be like, oh, this one's child X snacks, this one's child
Mm,
1 2 3 1 2 3, and that's what your parents they don't view how you would feel,
mm.
but they jump you and they be like, damn, how am I gonna feel? I've experienced that firsthand and it's not nice.
I do think that most of the time, sorry, you're about to speak, but most of the time, parents live. I think we've talked about this in multiple things. Parents live through their kids.
Yes.
It's the type of thing where, like, when they give birth, it's not like, oh, this is a whole new person that is by themselves. They need a personality of themselves. They need a mindset of
They're
themselves.
gonna grow
They're
into
gonna
this.
grow into themselves.
I'm just
It's
a
more
person
of,
on the journey.
no, they're gonna, everybody, as you said, is gonna see that kid and they're gonna see me. So immediately when they are looking, I feel like most of the time, let me just not be, you know,
Parents use children as a chance to redeem themselves in life.
yeah, I do really think that most of the time, that they want you to achieve the goals that they couldn't. Simple as that. They've run out of time. They're no longer as fresh as you. They don't have the abilities as you, and they see that potential, and I don't see that potential as you, but as themselves.
And I feel like it happens subconsciously. Like it
Mm,
doesn't happen consciously. A person, not always, like it doesn't happen consciously.
mm,
There are situations where a parent will consciously say that, no, I am raising my child because I want my child to become a doctor because I never could. But I'm talking about in the situation of your parent is saying, I'm doing the best that they could and not
The best
realize,
for you.
yeah, the best for you that I can. Not realizing that in parenting you, they're actually parenting themselves,
Their inner child.
you know. So and it happens a lot with elder siblings, elder kids.
And I do think the first, I think right now it's 4 kids, right? For us. So it was her. I think she got the biggest blow of whatever. And then it's me and then my two younger sisters. Right? So I feel the more kids you have or the more time that you spend, you learn more. The first kid, you don't know anything. So they're learning. All the mistakes are through you. All of the
mm,
hiccups are through you.
mm,
You're the one who's going to experience that. As parents, you're still learning. Oh, you know what? I don't necessarily, for you, for instance, to change a diaper, the first tantrum, now she knows how to deal with tantrums. With you, she didn't. So there's differences.
And there's also differences again within your situation, Mitzi. Your parents divorced. You grew up with both parents in your household. Your siblings don't have that. So again, there's issues that you've gone through because of having your parents in two households.
And then
And then
mm,
there's issues that you're now also going through
because they
with
are no
them
longer.
because they're no longer in separate. And I
mm,
feel like that's such a heavier weight. Like I can't even
mm,
imagine a heavier
mm,
weight because before you were already dealing with the stress of your parents in one household. You know,
mm,
there's already that stress of you've got your grandparents, you've got your parents, you've got your aunts, you've got whoever, you've already got all these adults, right?
mm.
But then divorce changes everything up.
And I do think this is me speaking purely out of perspective, me trying, because I can never be in your shoes, ne, but then just from what you hear me, from what you're telling me, I think maybe you had to live through everything. You saw more than your sisters did, or your not your sisters, your siblings did. You
Mm,
saw the process from the beginning all the way to the end. They
mm.
probably just saw the middle part towards the end. You still have to process that whole bit while they have to process that. And I I can, in a way, I've experienced things that they'll never experience, and it's hard to look at them and know and look at them like, okay, you're living soft life, you know.
Yeah,
When I hear them complain about such,
Benign things. Crazy.
like, it's just, I wish I had those problems at that age.
yeah,
I wish
true.
I had those problems at that age.
Do
It's
you?
that thing of,
Mm,
like, I'm glad they are not like complaining about the things that I was complaining about back in the day, but also I envy them, and it's not nice because, like, sometimes they complain about, I don't have a phone and you do. I'm always opening the gate and you don't. It's that type of thing. That's what they argue about. And I'm like, I wish I had that because not only was I the elder sibling, I was alone because I was the elder sibling. I was told everything because I was the elder sibling. I saw everything from bank statements to posts to court statements to debt to everything. I want to say it was traumatizing.
Guys,
Yeah.
being the elder sibling is a traumatizing experience.
I do think the blow gets like much lower. That's why I feel like last born syndrome exists, because they didn't get any.
There is absolute no way it does not
Yeah,
exist.
guys, no. I've seen guys. Have you ever seen people who have not been affected by life? Have you
Last
ever
bonds,
I feel last borns and
last
only
bonds,
kids.
Mm-mm,
I
and they're
can't.
listen,
worse when it's
hey,
boys. Last bonds are worse when they're boys.
listen, I've never last
But
born and
that's not the point.
only kids, ne, are bad when it's only kids with overprotective parents or an overprotective parent.
Or let me say only kids that didn't experience other kids.
Yeah,
Mm,
Let me say it like that
mm.
because I can't blanket statement and say all only kids are
because
the same.
because no wait. Have you ever like honest question? Have you ever met someone where you've spoken to them, you've talked to them, and they're innocent? In the sense of social media hasn't touched their mind, where when they look at something, their mind doesn't go left. In the sense of that violence is a
I
thing
feel like
where
it's weird when I meet people who
I'm not
I
traumatized
would
by
I
life.
say clean. I mean clean as Dila was saying, nothing has really affected them. They don't have any traumas. The
Mhm.
life was just lifing for them. And it's weird. I wouldn't say I resent. It's just weird.
Have you ever met someone like that?
He's like the first three sentences, you can hear what this person is an only child and they don't even have cousins. They probably don't have cousins their age or just don't have cousins at all. Like they're just
Yeah.
alone more than half of like a lot of the time. You can hear like you'll be talking about my siblings and we fight over stupid things and then they'll be like, oh, I don't
Guys,
like they don't understand the instant fury that siblings give you when they treat you loud. They will never get it. And that's
honestly,
how I lose bonds with many people because I somehow make friends with a lot of people that are only they're either two kids a year apart, which basically twins. They are settled, or people that are just only children. If that makes sense.
that makes sense. I'm
Mm.
not Mitzi, as an older sibling, elder sibling to elder sibling, you've got it worse than me in terms of sibling hierarchy. I got
Mm.
lucky with Lulama. Me and her connected in lockdown.
Yeah, we're not friends before that. Like
Before lockdown, I was child I didn't like her. She was like any of my
I'm
younger
slowly
siblings.
starting to like my sister. Slowly but surely. If
I
you
feel
see
like
my
with age
statuses, you
they
can see
get
I'm
better.
almost always yeah.
With age, it does get better because in terms of um, with me and Lulu, guys,
Hmm.
Mitch, I don't know if you even saw when we were with our friends. We had our own little.
Oh, I definitely noticed. Please. It's something that I noticed very quickly, but I didn't deep it because my sister and I were like, exa- I, I, yo, my siblings used to like ignite some sort of rage in my boy. Like they'd be doing the smallest things, and it would make me want to throw the whole house at them. But now I'm starting to like them bit by bit.
I do
Guys,
agree.
I'm starting to like my siblings once they know who they are. That whole stage
Of
of
them trying to figure out
them
themselves
trying to
and
figure
not
them
just
out
getting
themselves.
different versions every day. I
I
mean, please. I feel like the type of sort yourself out and then get back to me. Then we can
like
be friends. Right now I'm a sister, but then I'm not anybody's friend. I
Yeah,
mean, me
like
and Zile only became friends 2 years ago. Before that, I tolerated her. I mean, we were
barely.
in the house together. We would look at each other. We would mutual respect, not talk,
I feel
continue.
like I had the moments where my siblings and I would bond, probably over gossiping about my mom or making fun of someone in my family. And then after those 30 minutes we interact, we
It's
hate each other
done.
again. That's
I have
our
another question.
monthly, it's like a monthly subscription. It's almost like a monthly subscription. It was just like that. Every 6 months I remembered I have siblings, have a little kiki, and then go back to being by myself.
I have a question. It's just
Mm-hmm.
moving us. I don't know. It's not. I don't think it has anything to do. But it popped up like 2 minutes ago, and I didn't say anything. But now I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
something. But I think the parent-child relationship. I mean, now the parent-child relationship, I feel like is not broad enough because you had multiple parental figures. It takes a village, all of that. So your childhood, and as you said,
Mm,
just all of that, your childhood. Do you
mm-hmm,
think it has affected? Because right now we're getting older. I know I'm gonna get back to the question. I'm not gonna forget, but
mm-hmm,
as we're getting older, me and you are around the same age. Love life is coming into the picture.
mm-hmm,
Even though you may not be interested, but now it's like a thought that, okay, people
mm-hmm,
are jollying, all that. Do
mm-hmm,
you think that your perspective, your mindset, and how you move in your love life, your relationships, situationships,
mm-hmm.
all that is affected or actively, like, ish, now that fucked me up. Now I can't, is affecting me in this aspect. How do you think it correlates?
Well, there's this thing where I don't know if a person's being genuine or not. I don't know if that's like with everybody. I also have this complex way. Oh, I think this is just the whole setup. They're lying. They planned this random thought I had at 3 in the morning. It was a plan. No,
They're trying to trap me. Yeah.
not even like it's the most diabolical things that like I'd be like, but no, why would they do that? It means they planned to do that in front of other people because they knew they would tell me. It's that I feel like
Planned
that I feel like that
manipulation.
happened. That's my complex about this topic.
Yeah, planned manipulation. You think that everyone's out to manipulate you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Guys, when I got into
I
a
wonder where that comes from.
honestly, no, when I got into a relationship, and then I realized like my girlfriend is big on honesty, bringing things to the table, communication.
Mm-hmm.
And then I now she brings things to the table. Me and I look at it and I'm like, where's the hidden message?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the other shoe? The other shoe is going to
Like I've
drop.
reached a point where I will not until I see even that small, 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 small red print. I need to see that. You need to show me, and you need to so that I can be like, okay.
Okay, y'all, I'm going to expose myself on the internet here, ne? Because of thought. Those conversations just triggered a thought. You know why that can be dangerous?
Mm.
Ne? And I
Mm-hmm.
found I found out those out about myself very early on. It can be dangerous in the sense of I always want people to bear themselves to me. Show me
Mm-hmm.
every bit of you
Yeah.
before I can
But I don't want to. But
but
I don't want
I
to.
No, I do understand that. I don't know. Maybe it's just like a thing, but then I want you to explain why you're doing something.
like
You say you like
honestly.
me, why? But then if I can just say I like you and that's the reason that you're gonna get, you're just gonna have to deal with it.
For me, I feel like it's like that to an extent.
Mm.
Like I can tell you everything, but to an extent.
Mina,
Like,
I do you know what I feel like it gets missed. Ne?
mm,
You can tell someone something. You can tell someone everything in a way that they'll never
Yeah,
understand.
I feel like me, I'm a very open book, and I think being
mm,
open is a good. And going back when I said that balance of being open and trusting people, because I feel like if
mm-hmm,
you're too paranoid about everybody's out to get me, you're not gonna experience anything, right? But at the
exactly.
same
Mm-hmm,
time, you can't be too naive and just put
mm,
your whole Buddhist out there, because it's gonna
mm,
get touched and you're gonna get scared, right?
mm,
So I think how I do it is I'm an open book. You can read
mm-hmm,
every single page. You can take the book and unroll it. I don't care. I'm open.
Mm.
But then you can't see any letters. You need it's secret ink. You need some sort of pulse to read it. But then I'm open and I'm
And then
telling you everything,
and then
but nothing at the same time.
once the secret ink you've done that, the language is in Valerian. Mm.
I mean, I know. Okay, this may not be the healthiest thing. It's something I may need to work about. Just looping people. Letting you chase your tail. I do it a lot because you're not gonna get to know me for real. Because what you gonna do with that information? I mean,
actually,
I feel yeah,
not
it's hard for me to
even.
be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is crazy because what are you doing with that information? Why do you need to know me?
I don't mind that actually.
Hmm.
I've been. I don't want to say oversharing, but there's so much. Most of the things that have happened already, like the divorce and
Mm.
my mental health and stuff. It's that thing where I have I am not trying. I don't want to say I'm not trying to hide it anymore, but because I've accepted and I've acknowledged and I'm trying to move on and better myself, I don't
Yeah,
mind. Yeah,
and
I
let
don't
person
mind
in.
because I've accepted, I've acknowledged, I'm trying to move on. I don't have the best coping mechanisms, but I'm hanging in
I
there.
That
understand that.
one,
Wait,
that
no,
one.
no, no, wait. I understand that. Where with me, you could know my childhood trauma. You could know everything I've been through once I've processed. I'm
Mm,
talking. That's fair. That's you being open. That's the open book. That's you. Just
mm.
being fairly conversating. I'm talking about the type of open where you let someone know while you're processing, being that vulnerable, like information, not once you're done, once you detached,
Like,
but when you're still in it, letting them in.
Oh, there's only one. I think there's only really one person that knows when I was in the middle of it all. Like I'd be like, okay, date, mang mang. I felt like this today. I don't like it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Like paragraphs, phone calls, and everything. Only one person.
that
But then
person.
everybody else, it's just that, okay, I've accepted it. Thank you, next.
That person is important, y'all. I didn't have that person. I don't have that person. Because it's not that people haven't tried to be that person. Let me be fair here. But it's just that people have shown me I'm that type of person. Bite me once. I'm not going to put my hand again to be bitten.
Mm,
Why must
mm,
I? You know? So
mm.
the type of thing of and it's something I'm working on. I'm gonna say something that's gonna make me sound toxic because it is toxic. But it's a type of
The
thing of
progressive page, y'all.
yeah, but it's a type of thing where I test people before I actually give them my baggage.
Hmm.
You know, you
Mm.
can always see how a person's gonna deal
And
with
I
something
don't
at
think that's
first.
being sneaky. I feel like that's something that you should do. I feel like you should test
It's
your friends
justifiable. It's
before. Yeah.
understandable.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm having an issue with so and so and so and so. How you show me you're gonna respond to that issue is going to show me how you're gonna respond to me if I'm in the pits.
Mm,
And then there's also been those times I showed to people that no, I'm in the pits.
Hmm.
Then it's a thing of people don't know how to handle you when you're in the pits, especially when you're the friend that's always helping other people when they're in the pits.
mm. I've tried myself to stop being the friend that like I feel like it's that thing of not only is it triggering me sometimes, but also it's not my job. Like there's some people be like, listen, I got a vent, like serious of level of seriousness, and I'd be like, damn, I can't really help you, but I can listen. That's all I can do. I'm not gonna go on and give you advice, and I'm really not gonna. I'm just gonna listen and be like, well, Askis, Lala, you're gonna work your way through it. I know you're strong. Good night.
Guys,
But
that's
that's a whole nother topic. That whole thing of wanting, not letting people be dependent on
yeah. I
you.
feel for now
Mm.
you guys have gotten enough out of Mitzi. You're gonna see her probably, hopefully, another time. But when it comes to the parent-child relationship, I think we've gotten what we needed to get. And
Mm,
conversational wise, as you can see, y'all, there's definitely more to be said. There's more
mm,
conversation to be had,
mm,
deeper, longer, because the personality, the real stuff came out towards the end.
Yeah, but
mm.
guys, we're going to Limpopo this year. You know, one thing person.
Y'all, it's gonna get lit.
Oh
Yeah,
The
yeah.
gang is getting back
Okay.
together.
I think we're spending somewhere December here.
yeah, like,
So listen, just hit me up. Just call
Things need
me.
to be done.
Just call me. That's all I'm
thank you
saying.
for this conversation, Mitzi. We didn't let you introduce yourself this time because we're gonna catch you next time.
Yeah,
Alright,
definitely. A more
alright.
in-depth
Yeah, more
conversation.
in depth, but this was a conversation that did broaden my perspective,
It did.
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
always nice to hear things from a perspective from another
Person,
angle.
another
Mm,
walks of life, as you say.
most
So the
definitely.
people, this is not going to be the last time beautiful boys. So just get ready for that. And thank you for listening.
Yeah, this has been We Perceive
As
as
we
We
are.
Are.
Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and do the most.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.